But if you have any questions throughout, please just let me know and I'll stop and we can go through it. So I'm kind of gonna just go from the presentation and then, hold on, I'm gonna share actually both of my entire desktop. Can you guys see the boom cards and the presentation? Okay.
Yes.
All righty. So Boom Cards is a digital learning platform where you can create kind of task cards, and it takes the data for you. So it's really good to use with our students as far as asynchronous learning opportunities, because there's different ways that you can manipulate each card so that it's taking data for you and you can see how they're progressing. Of course, there are certainly some barriers like parent involvement and that kind of thing where it might not be true data, but it at least gives you a picture of what they're doing, especially if they're working on it independently. So I'm gonna go through just the website first, and then we'll go into making the cards. So there are different tabs up here. There's the, I'm just gonna share the boom cards. So there's different tabs. There's the classes tabs. This is where you can organize your students, where you can have colleagues with the classroom teachers, OT, PT, speech. So you can all stay connected and you could share students, and so that if you upload an assignment to a student, that it'll be on their account. So I organize mine by classroom, but you can organize it by student. You can import from Google Classroom, or you can create colleagues, which is down here. And this allows you to share students with multiple accounts because the teachers have accounts, the SLPs have accounts. I'm not sure who else has an account at Birkin, but that's super helpful. In that, this is where you also add students. So I'm just going to do it imported. So this is where you can add students. You can create usernames and passwords. So let me show you how you can add a student. So I'm going to do a new classroom. And to add a student, I'm going to click new student. I'll put in John Doe, and his password will be John Doe. So now I have that as student, I can click on this blue arrow, and that's where I would assign any decks to that specific student. That's really important because there are other ways that you can assign to full classrooms. However, if you're not assigning to groups of kids, then you're going to want to go directly to their username. There are different ways to make passwords. Most of these, for whoever's on the call right now, they probably already have accounts made. And so you would just be connecting with the teachers and making sure that you know the username and password so that when you assign a deck, you can make sure it's there, and you can also communicate with the parents how to get access to that deck. But you can do different passwords. I think they have to be, for at least 4 letters. And you can also use picture passwords, which are really helpful for our students who might not, be reading and writing, and a picture is just easier for them to remember. So that's the classes tab. Does anyone have any questions so far about that?
So if you're putting in, it's Deb, if you're putting in I'm sorry, I lost you on where did you find that picture? The little doggy.
Oh, so the dog is just assigned to, it's not, you don't pick the picture. I mean, I think you can, but typically we don't change it. Are you talking about the picture passwords? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, I'm just.
Okay. Yeah. So Megan, you might need to help. I don't remember. So you can set a password. So if you do set password, You can
Okay.
go down here and do picture passwords. Now,
Oh,
I've only done it where the picture passwords are used for the entire class. I don't know if there's a way that you
You
can
can.
assign it just to the student. Okay.
Yeah, I've done it per student. I'm trying to remember. Maybe I just went under password and I was able to. I think I just changed. So under set passwords, I think I changed it to use a picture password. So if you go back to where you were, Jackie, set passwords for the whole class, and then just hit use picture passwords for this classroom.
oh, okay. Yeah.
But I think then if you go and hit a new one, it'll let you do it per student if you need to, because I've done that. At least in the past, I was able to.
Yeah.
Our kids in room 5, Deb, do use picture passwords, but it's already set up for them, and they should already know what they are, or their parents know.
Okay.
So you're good.
Yep. So you can create a new password for them. You just have to make sure that up here that it allows picture passwords.
Okay.
Right?
Thank you.
The library is where all of your created decks will be, as well as all of your purchase decks. You need to make sure that when you create a deck, it'll be privatized, which we'll go over when we create a deck for it to show up in the library. But once it's in your library, you're able to assign it to the students. Again, going back to that classes tab. You can assign from the library. However, you'd be assigning 2 full classrooms if yours is set up this way. If yours is set up student by student, you could assign this way. All right. And then on the left here, these are the different folders. So if you're using a teacher or student or teacher SLP account, you can always create a folder on this left side that's, PE, occupational physical therapy, and then you can just organize all of your decks into this folder on the left. That way you have easy access to it. The reports, this is how you check the data for the specific decks. So if you're assigning one deck to multiple students and you want to see how all of the students performed on that specific deck, you would go to this reports tab. However, if you wanted to see how a student, one specific student performed, you would go back to the classes and go back to that specific username and click on report. And that'll tell you what decks they've accessed and also their percentage. So I'll give you an idea. I'll go to a student. So let's say room 9. I'm going to go to this student and look at his report. And then I can see, okay, this is what he has in his library. This is what he has done so far, as well as his data. And you can also see the date at which they last accessed the deck.
Okay.
The store is just like a Teachers Pay Teachers store for boom cards. So you can find free decks, you can purchase points to buy decks. However, I should mention that, if you're sharing an account, it might be easier to just buy the deck on Teachers Pay Teachers, because then you can download it and you have access to it, no matter whether you have an account with boom cards or not. Right, and then the last one is the studio, and this is where we really get down to it as far as making boom cards. If you scroll down at the asset managers, this is where you're going to access most of the stuff that you're using in this studio. So there's make decks. This is also where you would add images. And I should mention that with boom cards, there are certain websites that you're allowed to use and certain websites that you shouldn't use. You have to make sure that you have the rights to the images, unless you have a subscription with that account and they allow you to use the images with boom cards. So there are different websites you can use. There's pixabay.com is one. but you can also just search on Google free clip art images. And as long as they're free and you're able to use it for, personal use, since we're not selling any of our boom cards, you can use them on boom cards. All right.
What was the first one?
The first one is pixabay.com, Pixabay. All right, so when you're making a deck, let me go back so you guys can see. You're gonna click on this Make Decks and click up here to New Deck. Prior to doing anything on your deck, you're gonna wanna title it, because if you have too many untitled decks in your studio, you're gonna get confused. So to title your deck, you go down to this bar down below, click where it says Untitled Deck, and then you can create a new deck. Now, just to go over this, this part right now, there's an area where you can randomize the cards. So that's saying that they're all going to show up in a random order when the student plays it. You can make sure that they aren't randomized, so they're in the order you presented. So maybe if you wanted them to do a sequenced task, like you wanted to create a schedule for them for brushing their teeth, they always have to put water, put toothpaste on the toothbrush before they brush their teeth. So in that case, you're going to want to unclick the randomized cards because you want them to come up in the same order. Flow Magic, we're not going to go into too much detail with this. However, there is on the presentation a way to use Flow Magic and how you can link different cards to each other. So if you do randomize and you want the first card to always be the first card, you can say don't shuffle in the first card or the first 3 cards. That's what this part allows you to do. And then you can also say how many cards you want the student to play. So say it's a deck with 50 different cards, but you only want them to do 10 cards. You can just put in 10 and it'll randomize the 10 cards that are presented to that student. All right, so we titled our deck, and then you can either X out and it's going to automatically save, or you can hit private publish. This is a good thing to just remember to do because that way it'll immediately show up in your library. So privately publish and then X out. All right, so do you guys have any specific types of activities that you're looking to make? Or I can go through like how you would make a receptive vocab deck or something simple like that. Any ideas? Okay. I'm going to create just a receptive vocab deck to show you guys.
I always get confused with drag and drops. I don't know if that was fixed or not, but
Okay.
I know that's more advanced than just the basic.
Okay.
I don't know if it was fixed, but I know over the summer I was having trouble.
All right, I've been able to do drag and drops, Brett. So I don't know if it was broken at one point, but it does work now.
Drag and drops are a little tricky. So I'll do a receptive vocab and then we'll do like a sorting activity. So I can show you guys how to make those too. So all of these boxes on the left side, they're pretty self-explanatory, but you're going to want to drag in the item that you want. So if you just want the text to be up top, like those are your directions, they don't want to click on it. It's just the text. You would just drag it on and say the direction is to find the dog. You can obviously change the font, change the size, and then you can also add sound to your directions. And I'm going to go over that right now because this is good for, especially when you're working with kids and you want it to be an independent activity, and they might not be readers, or they might just need the extra support with the auditory direction. So to add the sound, you're going to drag in the sound button. And from there, it allows you to upload a sound. So you have to create a sound outside of Boom Cards. So if you're using a Mac, you might use the Voice Memos app on the Mac laptops or Mac computers. I know that's what I use at school, and that's what I use on my laptop now. You can also search on Google just free voice memos, and there are a few good websites that you can use. I think Brittany used some where you can just record your voice, and it will allow you to download that, and you'll have a file to upload. So when you upload a sound, it'll then come up in your library, and I don't have a find the dog one, but you just click on it and that will be the sound that you have. Before I forget, let's talk about the template card. So because I'm using the template card right now. So this template card, it's good for activities where your format is going to stay the same each card that you make. So if you're doing like an activity where you want a field of 3 pictures on every single page, then the template card might be useful to you because you don't have to keep remaking the card. If you want the sound to be the same, the template card can be useful. Or, if you want the written directions to be the same. If you don't want to use the template card, you don't have to. You just have to make sure that when you're adding in items, you're going straight to this card number 1 on the left and not using the template card. So do you guys see it on the left where it says template card here? And then on this part, it says 1. So you're going to want to start at number 1 if you don't want to use the template card. However, because it's a receptive vocab program, and I want every page to have a field of 4 pictures for the kid to choose from, and I want every page to have the direction at the top, I might use the template card. Again, find the dog. I would add sound if I wanted to, and I want the field to be pictures. So I'm going to go to the left side and pick multiple pictures and drag that right in. So now I have 4 pictures for the kid to choose from. As you can see, one of these pictures has a green outline and 3 of them have red outlines. If this is just to let you know that when you're uploading the pictures into the card, that you're going to want to make the correct answer in this green box and the incorrect answers in the red box. Now you can change which ones are green and which ones are red by going up to the answer options on this right side. However, you don't need to if you're worried about, the correct answer always being the first card. You don't have to worry about that with multiple choice or multiple picks because it randomizes the answers automatically. Does that make sense to everyone? Okay. You can also do multiple choice, and that would just be the written word. And then images would just be 1 picture. It would look like that. Hold on, let me get rid of the multiple choice and I'll show you with it. So images would just be a picture, and then a button is just something that you can add text to it if you want them to click on a button. And then if you want a picture with a caption, you can do the caption picture, and that'll allow you to add the written word right under the picture. I will be honest that I don't often use the caption picture, because when you go to resize it, it can get a little frustrating because it doesn't resize well. You can also do, like for Deb, if you were doing a typing program, you can do a fill in the blank activity. So say you wanted them to follow a model, and up here you wanted them to type out dog. You would just do fill in the blank, double tap to edit it, and the correct response would be dog. And that way and click submit. And that way when they go to play it, it's a free spot and they could just type in what you were wanting them to type in. So I'll go back to the vocab. I want to talk to you about changing up the field size and what the pictures look like. All right, so I have my field of 4, but then I decide, oh, they really can't do a field of 4. I want to do a field of 3. So this gets a little more complicated. You simply delete one of the pictures, and now you have 3 pictures. You could keep it like this, or if you click on it and go to the right and go down to container properties and go to flow, now you have them 3 pictures across. And then you can just either keep them that small, but you probably wouldn't. Then you can just go over to, or unlock each of the pictures first if you want to resize them. And then go over to the right, and that's where you can change the size of the pictures to make them bigger or smaller. Any questions so far? Anything you feel like I missed, Meg or Britt?
I'm thinking you may want to, as part of this, before you do the other part, the drag and drop, I think if you show them about videos, because I'm thinking OT, PT, PE, they may want to put a video on a card.
Yep. All right. So say you're doing like a schedule, or you're doing video modeling and you want them to look at a video of brushing teeth. You can add a YouTube video into a deck. So if you just slide this video button into the page, you can then get the URL from the YouTube video that you found, click it in here, press OK, and you'll have the video. So Mr. Mike, you use YouTube for some of your videos, and you could always put those videos right on the Boom deck and they could access it that way. All right.
Jackie, I would also maybe show when you're uploading a picture, how you can drag and drop from your desktop, because sometimes it like makes the screen black. Remember, like you have to get it in a certain spot in the.
Oh, okay.
Yep. So like showing them how you have to do it like that.
So I'm going to, I use this website quite a bit, this free clip art website. And I wanted a picture of a dog. Hold on, I'm gonna have to share my entire desktop. All right, so I wanted a picture of a dog. I find a dog picture that I like, and I then drag it to my desktop so that I have it. And then when I go to upload the image into Boom Cards, you want to make sure that when you're dragging it in, you see this drop files here to upload. So drag it in where you see all the different folders, or there might not be folders there, but you want to make sure it's drop files here. Otherwise, if you just go in, it'll bring you to a different page, and it won't drop into your Boom Cards. All righty.
Jackie.
Yes.
Sorry. Can you edit videos once they're in there? Like start it and stop it at a certain point so when a student clicks on it, or does it have to be pre-edited before you add it?
So No, you can't edit them within Boom Cards. However, if you go onto YouTube, and I know that what am I saying? That Obi has a shortcut for this. On YouTube, you can, if you just wanted to show a clip of the whole video that you made for PE, you can have it end at a certain spot. Now, I don't know, and Megan, you might know better. I don't think you can have it like start and end throughout the video. I think it just like will end a minute into it. But yeah, you would have to edit it through YouTube or create a link that would stop at a certain point, and then that would work in Boom Cards. Does that make sense? Okay. All right, so that was kind of how you would a little bit make a receptive vocab test, a receptive vocab, or anything with you wanted a field of different pictures or written words. So let's talk about drag and drop. So if you wanted to do say you wanted to do a sorting activity, and I'm not going to add pictures just because it's one more step, but so I wanted to sort fruits, and I'm going to go over here and I'm going to duplicate this. I want to sort fruits and vegetables. So right now it's a button, as you can tell. And so once you select it, it's going to say you're correct or incorrect. That's what that green outline is. So for a sorting activity, that's not where I'm going to indicate if something's correct or incorrect. So I'm going to make sure that I take out the green part by clicking correct again on answer options, and then the green outline goes away. So now I just have two boxes, and they'll just stay stagnant when I go to preview it. They're there. Okay. So then I'm going to add different images that I want the kid to sort. So I'm going to search in my library because I'm sure that I have uploaded apple. And I don't know if I have any vegetables. We'll see. There we go. All right, so I want the student to sort these two objects into their category. Oh no, that was silly. So what I'm gonna do is these two buttons, I'm gonna make drop zones. And the drop zones are basically the spot that you want to sort the objects into. So you click on the button, you go to the right and click drop zone. And then I'm gonna do the same thing with the vegetables. Can you guys see this? Yeah, okay. Okay, so now I have two different drop zones. I have my fruits and I have my vegetables. There is a way that you can allow anything into the box. You're gonna click this if you want, you don't want there to be a incorrect response. However, if you do want a correct or incorrect response, first you make both of these draggable. You're gonna do that no matter what. And then this is where it gets a little tricky because sometimes this hand gets away from you. But I want to make sure that when they sort the carrot into the vegetables box, that it tells them that they're correct. So right now, if I were to preview this and they did this, it would say they were wrong. But also if they did it correct, it would say that they were wrong. So I want to make sure that I'm assigning the objects to their drop zone. So I'm going to take this apple, this little hand on the left side, and I'm going to drag it up. But see how my cursor is away from the hand? So you just have to follow where the hand is. I'm going to drag it to the flag, and it's going to create a line between the apple and the drop zone. I'm going to do the same thing with the carrot. So now when I preview it and I sort, I do it wrong, it's going to tell me I'm wrong. But then when I do it right, because I assign the objects to their drop zone and I submit it, it's going to tell me I did it right. And you're going to get the data that way as well. So that's any questions about drop zones, sorting activities, anything like that? No.
So if you have multiple answers that are right, you can then drag them all in as well, right?
Yes. So if I was going to add another fruit, see what I got, a banana, and I wanted there to be multiple fruits to sort. Again, make it draggable, get that little hand to the flag, and now the apple. If I just do the apple, it's going to say I'm right, but it's not. It's going to say that this is wrong. So I'm going to go this, this, and now they're both right. All righty. So are there any questions? I'm just going to look over the presentation. So I'm just going to show you guys the presentation super quick because I think there are a lot of good resources right in there for you to reference. We did this back in August, so I really wanted to give everyone the opportunity to just ask questions. But it'll go through, how to add students and how to create colleagues. And if you click on these boxes to the right, it's going to bring you to a YouTube video that walks you through each of those steps. It talks about the template page, the difference between multiple choice and multiple pictures. And again, it'll walk you through how to reduce your field size, increase your field size, and it'll give you an example of a vocab. Drag and drop again, it'll give you an example of how to do that and talk about that little hand. That's the most important part because your mouse, your cursor doesn't always match up with it, and that's where people get really tripped up. I also talked about different programs where you might use the different features on boom cards. Okay, and then adding sounds, adding videos. If you guys are interested in it, I can go over Flow Magic, which is a way how to link different cards to each other. This might be good if you wanted to create a schedule for a student, but it is a pretty advanced skill, I would say, for boom cards.
So I have a question before you possibly get into that.
Yep.
Denise has made, or maybe it was pre-made, something, she has a door and there's something behind the door. And obviously the student says open, or it's present, and she moves it.
Yep.
Like, what is that?
So that's a dragging activity. There's just no drop box. So you can make items draggable without putting them in a drop box, and I can show you how to do that because I have that activity on my.
Really cool.
So I just made it with like superheroes, open present. So there's also a way to add video, like GIFs to it, GIFs, whatever, however you pronounce it. But that gets a little more complicated because you have to find out what size you can allow on your boom cards. But so this is an open present activity. I wanted the student to say open, and then when the present opened, he could see the picture and comment on the picture in the back. So what what Lisa did actually is she split up she either found two different pictures of a present or a top of a present, or she took one picture of present and screenshot the top of the present and screenshot the bottom of the present to make two different pictures. So, and then she added the picture in the back, and all she did was make these things draggable. So there's no drop box, but if we take off the draggable, hold on, I can't see behind these pictures. So if it wasn't draggable, we wouldn't be able to move the top of the box at all, the bottom of the box at all. But if you click on draggable to the right, and you can make just the top of the box draggable either way, then when you preview it and you move away the top and the bottom, you'll get the picture. So yeah, so you don't, the draggable feature is not just used for sorting activities. You can use it anytime you want something on, like a picture on the deck, to be moved around. Make sense? Okay. All right, I'm gonna briefly talk about Magic Flow, and then if there aren't any questions, we'll see what else.
And I could see the Magic Flow being good for you guys who do like exercises, because you could build in choice that way, right, Jackie? Where you would have like, you would automatically go to the next thing, but if you don't care whether the kids, I don't know, march or if they dance, you could make choices and have them see the right video model by making the choices with Flow Magic.
Yeah, so I can show you guys how to do that. So yeah, say you had like a yoga program and you wanted them to be able to choose between downward dog and, I don't know, yoga, so another pose. What you could do is to create Magic Flow. Again, you're gonna go to the bottom, yoga. And instead of clicking on randomized cards, you're gonna click on Flow Magic. Press OK. And we use this a lot with requesting activities, but again, it's also really good, as Megan pointed out, for choice making. So I'm gonna put in 2 images. I don't have any yoga. Oh, okay. So catching a ball. I don't know how I have that on there, but there it is. So that's one choice that they're able to make. Oh, okay. And then let's see, I have actions here. So let's see if I have another one. And clapping. So now I have 2 activities that they can make a choice between. And what I want to do is I want to link this picture to one card, and I use the template card, so you don't want to use it in this case. I want to link this picture to a video of people throwing a ball, throwing and catching a ball. And I want to link this picture to people clapping. So let me just go to YouTube so I can show you the whole thing. And I'm going to do throwing a ball. So obviously I don't know what these videos are, but this one looks good. So I'm going to copy the link at the top. Copy the link, and then I'm going to add that video to this card. So I dragged in video, I'm adding the YouTube, and there's my video. I can make it the full card. Then I want to add a video. Again, I have to delete it because I use the template card of clapping. So I'm going to use this one.
Grammar.
And I'm going to copy the link, add a card, and add in my video. So now I have my videos in, I have the choices, but how do I link this picture to this video and this picture to this video. So I'm going to go to the picture, and as long as you have Flow Magic clicked here, you're going to see link to on this right side. So click the picture and then click link to, and you can click next card, but that might get complicated when you do the clapping. So I always just click the card on the left. So I want this throwing, catching a ball to link to this card. And I want this clapping video. Again, I'm going to click the picture, click link to. I'm going to click card number 3 because that's the video I want it to link to. And as long as there's a yellow outline to your pictures, that's how you know that it's linked to a different place. However, you always want to make sure that you check your links because sometimes it can get messed up. So now when I preview it and I want them to make a choice and they choose catching a ball, it's going to bring them right to the video of throwing and catching a ball. You're also going to want to create, a back button, specifically if you, or a next button, specifically if you want them to be able to go to a next choice or go back to the 2 choices that you originally presented. So I'm going to create a back button so I can show you the whole thing. Oh, I don't need it on this page though. So back and then again, you can link buttons, you can link pictures, you can link multiple choice. So I'm going to take that button, I'm going to do link to, and I'm going to link it back. Now, one thing to be really careful of is right now that back button also says that it's a correct answer. And I don't want it to be a correct answer because I don't want it to say that they're incorrect if they don't hit it. So I'm going to unclick the correct. And again, do the same. Unclick the correct and then have them link to and back. So now your whole choice making activity is, oops. They click on the throwing, they can watch the video of throwing and catching a ball. You want them to go back and make a different choice. Click on clapping, brings them to that video, and then they can go back. Any questions about that? There's like a step-by-step thing in the presentation of how you might create an activity like this. But it is really good for choice making and requesting and that kind of thing. Or especially like if you have a schedule for them and you want them to be able to choose what order they do the activities, that way you can do it this way and they can make choices and link it. All right.
Jackie, is that what you use when you start a session and you're like having kids make choices and then when they get their reinforcer, they click like on the roller coaster or whatever?
So I typically use Google Slides when I'm presenting choices.
Oh, I see. Okay.
During a session. However, I've used Flow Magic a ton when I'm trying to teach requesting with attributes, and I'll put like a red present and a green present and they get to pick, and then it's a surprise what video they get after they select the right present or the present that they wanted.
They must love that.
They do. It actually turned out to be one of the easier ways to target that skill. So that was great. All right. Any other questions? Feel free to, I'll be on Thursday as well. So if you play around with it, if you, look through the presentation and you come up with some questions that we didn't address today, you can always email me or we can go over it on Thursday.
Okay, Jackie, I have a question. Like I'm at the very initial stage, and I have some OT boom cards
Mhm.
already in my library. Can I edit those, or are they all like prepackaged?
So if you purchase them, you can
Yeah,
edit them. You just have to use them as purchased.
okay,
You can only edit a card, but if you have created it, and you would do that by just going into your studio, finding the
yeah,
card that you made, and you can click on it. And it's important to know that boom cards do automatically save. So you don't have to do anything extra to save your boom cards. It's kind
okay.
of like a Google Doc, like it's constantly refreshing and saving.
So it's better really to make your own.
I wouldn't say that because it's time consuming. So I certainly have a long list of things that I've purchased or downloaded for free, and I've just kind of modified them as I use them in the session.
Okay,
But for those, asynchronous things that you want the student to be able to do on their own or with little support, it is easier to make them yourself because then you have more control of what's on there.
yeah, okay.
But you can, if you get an activity, you download an activity and you like most of the activity, but some of the cards are really hard and you're like, they can't do that. You
Right.
can hide that card and they won't see it when they play it.
Oh, okay, that's good to know. Okay,
So I can show you how to do that. So if I do that sometimes with like WH questions, if I'm like, oh, this is easy. And then I'm like, whoa, I don't even know that they have the vocabulary for that.
yeah,
I'll just go to one of those. So let's do this one. So I actually already did this. So if you go, let's go to one that I haven't hidden yet. So say I wanted to hide this card. I didn't want them to see it when they're playing it. You just go to the right here and hide the card
oh,
and they're not shown to them. So that
okay.
when they play it, it won't even show up as hidden card for them. It just won't show up at all.
Okay, so, and can you do that more than once?
Yep. Yeah. So I did it a ton actually in this deck.
Okay, that's good to know.
That'd be great for building sets, right? Because like you can make like if you had like a whole bunch of words and then you just start with set one, hide everything.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
And
cool.
that's what I've done quite a bit.
Wow, I like that. That's awesome.
Yep.
You don't have to go back and keep adding. It's just do it
Yeah.
all at once.
Mhm.
There a button you have to click after you make a deck in the studio in order for it to transfer to your library?
So yes, so we talked a little bit about that when we went to go create a title. So when you title your deck on the bottom, you're going to see public publish, I think, and privately published. That if you want to make sure that it's privately published, but you can also go into your studio and click private right here. And that'll make sure that it shows up in your library. So I'll show you. So right now yoga is not showing up in my library because I didn't privately publish it. So I have to go back into my studio, press private, and then when I go to the library and I click yoga, now it's there.
So you have to private, okay.
Yep. And then there's, in addition to that, these other buttons, you can share a deck that you made with another, a colleague. So if I made a deck and I really wanted Denise to have it, I would just put in her username and then I could share it with her.
Nice.
And if you want to be able to edit it in multiple accounts, you would have to just make sure it's not private and click transfer. And that way, if you transfer it and I wanted to be able to edit it on Denise's, I just click transfer and do that. And then you can also clone a deck. So if you wanted to split up the sets by that and be like, okay, this is set 1, set 2 is going to be pretty much the same format, but I want to change up the SD, I want to change up the pictures, you can just clone it and then change what's on there.
It's kind of like a save as, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Oh.
All right.
Something really primary again. I already have my, I've got my boom sets and also my classroom. So I need to use the passcodes that they provide. I'm not able to get into you guys's.
So you certainly can get into my account. I would give you my username and password, and then like we share room 12. So then what you would want to do is make sure that those decks are in my library that you want to share. And then if you wanted to assign it to them, you would go to the student's name, click assign, and then if I wanted to assign yoga, I would click this blue button right here, and then it would show up on that student's account. But as far as communicating with the parents, you're going to want to make sure you share, that his username is BS12 and his password is a dog and a bat, or his password is BS12 again.
Okay.
So that information you're gonna need.
Okay. I think I know, but
Yeah. If you need them for that classroom, I gotcha.
okay. All right.
All right. Any other questions?
You have to stop recording.